Alright, I tagged people and started the broadcast. And there's a notification.
Saying we're live. Saying we're live.
Cast.
Noise. We're live as a bone. Alright. You ready to go?
Yep.
Alright. Welcome back to the Live Squad to another ComboLG Podcast. I am your host of Avengers. Alongside us is our host, Lima.
Yeah, alright, so this week, a little mixed. It was short. It'll be short, but I'll explain why. We had the games that were played were really exciting, honestly, and then we'll be honest, there were quite a bit of games that weren't played, but it's because we're getting closer to the postseason, so people that aren't making playoffs really just aren't interested in playing. They just want the fresh start, so it's like not a priority for them to play, which, I mean, we kind of understand. Well, obviously we'd like all the games to be played still, but we understand.
Alright, though, I hope y'all do enjoy, though, but if you're new, hit that subscribe button to build, and when we go live or post a video, hit the like to show your support to this series. Me and Lima do appreciate every like y'all hit, every subscribe. But first game, big game. Saints taking yards in total, though.
Yeah, that's
Falcons were more well-rounded in the rushing and passing game.
Okay, so he won 52-14. I'm not seeing how he scored 52 points compared to only 14.
Maybe
because
the turnovers, like he
but three and that, maybe they were all like pick sixes or something. But
yeah, like all touchdowns was 21. And
that's a little interesting. I guess we'll find out once we get into the game stats. All right, let's do that though.
Everything else about even. But of course, player stats: QB Johnny Manziel, rookie of Texas A&M, 139 yards, a touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 4 times. Blaine Gabbert, 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, sacked 7 times. Yeah, I don't see it. Like he only got 1 touchdown in the passing game.
It's got to be like pick sixes and stuff. But going into rushing, you see three touchdowns from Tevin Coleman. So he had 16 attempts, 152 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did fumble it. And then leading rusher from the Saints was Alvin Kamara, 18 attempts for 15 yards. Yeah.
0.8. He doesn't even get a first down.
Yeah.
That's 28 points. That's 28 points right there for passing and rushing. But in the receiving game,
look where he was in the receiving game.
Receiving, I will say this: Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, both over 100 yards. The only guys over 100 yards. Both having a touchdown.
So
Alvin Kamara, maybe not a rusher, but this
is a little interesting. It looks like the Saints actually played some decent defense. I mean, I can't say that in the rushing part of it, but passing defense actually played pretty good.
Yeah, Julio Jones only had 1 reception for 16 yards.
Yeah, and speaking of defense, let's move on to defense. Quarterback sacks. Will Knight led the Falcons with 3, and then Cameron Jordan led the Saints with 2. And
in the interception game, Vic Beasley Jr. with 1, Jalen Collins with 1, and Duke Riley with 1. Marcus Williams also getting 1 for the Saints. Forced fumbles, we did have 2. Marshawn Lattimore and Craig Robertson. Recoveries, 1 by Kenny Vaccaro.
Oh yeah, and 3 defensive touchdowns by the Falcons. So that's where it was all at.
Another 21. Hang on. 28-21. That's 49.
And then a field goal, probably. Yep, field goal.
Yeah, probably. Field goal, yeah. Kick return, punt return, neither. Congratulations to the Falcons. Good luck in the off season to everybody. Rest of the season's kind of close, so good luck in the off season. But of course, we go to our next game, which is Minnesota and the Jets. 23-20, very close game. A very close game indeed.
Yeah, Vikings Actually, well, it was really close, but if you have to give it to one side, it obviously was the Vikings. He had 344 offensive yards compared to 268 from the Jets, and then no turnovers, and the Jets did have one turnover.
That's actually kind of good, where it's just that small turnover, where there's only one. But
Yeah.
we will look at player stats. Teddy Bridgewater, 200 yards, even, nothing else besides getting sacked twice. And Blake Bortles, 124 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked twice.
Yep. And then going into the rush game, Dalvin Cook with a pretty good game. 19 attempts, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then LeGarrette Blount having a decent game himself, 20 yards. Oh my God, 20 attempts, 114 yards, and a touchdown.
Not bad at all. In the receiving game, Stephon Diggs, one of the best young wide receivers right now, 5 receptions, 129 yards. And Robbie Anderson, who's been the leader for the Jets, 2 receptions, 68 yards, and a touchdown.
And then going over to the defensive side, sacks, you had 2 by Darren Lee from the Jets, and then Danielle Hunter and Charles Woodson Jr. each had 1 from the Vikings.
And interceptions, we had 1 by Anthony Barr, and really
that was it.
Just
1 turnover all game.
Ed Reed Jr., rookie out of Delaware State, with 1 forced fumble, but there was not it was probably offensive recovery.
Yeah,
Defensive
defensive touchdown.
Kick return, punt return, neither. Congratulations to the Vikings, though. I think that secured him a spot in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, if he wasn't there already.
Alright. Who else we got? Your game. And this is one of the biggest games, especially with y'all being so close in your division. So I will go 27-21, a very close game. Only 6-point lead. Winning on offensive yards gained by, that's 26. He had a lot more passing yards. He had a lot more rushing yards, which is a surprise to see, because y'all are great. Y'all are both great at rushing the ball, and he only had 93.
Yeah,
2 turnovers to 1.
and one
No
and
red zone.
he had 93 rushing yards, but he had 71 yards on 1 play. So that's where all, like, other than that 1 run, he had like hardly any rushing yards.
All right, let me go into player stats though for y'all. Pat Mahomes, a good game, one of the best I've seen from the past 2 seasons. 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, sacked once. Derek Carr, 92 yards, 1 interception, sacked 1 time. Nothing really there besides Pat Mahomes. In rushing though, DeAndre Washington, 30 rushes, 202 yards, 6.7 average, and 2 touchdowns. Charkandrick West, 7 rushes, 97 yards, 13.9 average, and 1 touchdown, 1 fumble. And where is he?
Hit it sort on attempts. Hit sort on attempts.
I saw 17 attempts, -5 yards for Latavius Murray. That is the worst game I have seen by him ever. Lord, that's bad. Because even Derek Carr got 3 attempts, -2 yards, and a touchdown.
And you see Charkandrick West, his long was 71, and he had 97 total.
In receiving, though, leading receiver for Kansas City was Paul Studdard, rookie out of Army, 1 reception, 82 yards, and a touchdown. And Raphael Pittman, rookie out of Nebraska, for the Raiders, 2 receptions, 67 yards. Defensively, sacks, 1 by Tim Jernigan and 1 by Khalil Mack. The sack attack from the silver and black, and the interception goes to Ron Parker that went nowhere. Forced fumbles though to Ben Heaney and Obi Melifonwu. 2 names you don't expect to actually see get that. And 1 recovery by Gilbert Moorhead, rookie out of Louisville.
Yeah, I actually recovered both of them. The other one was just on a kickoff, so that's why it probably didn't show the recovery.
Kick return, punt return, none. Congratulations to you, though, keeping ahead in this division. Good luck to both of y'all, because y'all, last 2 games can make or break the season for all 3 of you. The Broncos, Chiefs, and Raiders.
Yep, and that division is won by no one yet. That's
But
going to be really close.
Here comes another close game. Bills and Browns, two good users, two great users. 13-10, Bills win in the end. Win actually on all sides. In offensive yards with 229 to 140, 0 turnovers, 2-1, and time of possession by 7 more minutes, but only winning by 3.
Yeah. All right. So going into player stats, a pretty good game from Tyrod Taylor, actually. 90 yards and a touchdown. He was sacked twice. And then Deshaun Kaiser, 96 yards, no touchdown, no interception, and he was sacked 3 times.
In the rushing game, though, LaShawn McCoy, 25 rushes, 134 yards, 5.4 average, and nothing else. Zaire Caldwell, 16 rushes, 69 yards, 4.3 average, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble. Pretty poor game for Isaiah Crowell.
And then going into the receiving game, Shady McCoy with the dual threat in this game, 1 receptions for 64 yards and a touchdown. And then Zachary Nickerson, the rookie out of Ole Miss, 3 receptions for 46 yards, and that was about it there.
Yeah. In sacks, though, we got Shaq Lawson leading the Bills with 2, Emmanuel Ogba and Jamie Collins Sr. both getting 1 each.
Yep, and then no interceptions, so it looks like the turnover was on a fumble. Yep, Micah Hyde forced a fumble, and then Chris Jones recovered, and then Jabril Peppers out of recovery, so that's weird.
There's not a block kick, so we're okay.
Yeah, but anyways,
touchdowns done.
No kick returns, no punt returns. So good job to BG Evadon in that one. That was a big win for him, because that division, I think they're tied.
They're tied, yes. They are both tied 10-4 as of right now.
Yeah, so that was a really big and clutch win for him. So good job to the Bills.
And the last game we're going to talk about is the Green Bay versus Detroit Lion game. Green Bay winning 40-24. Kind of winning on all sides except for passing. 1 turnover to 2. 100% red zone to 66, and 14 minutes to 13 minutes.
Yeah, and then going to the player stats, Aaron Rodgers with 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And then Strong Arm Stafford, 263 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he was sacked 4 times.
In the rushing game, though, Jalen Peters, rookie out of Clemson, 23 attempts, 194 yards, 8.4 average, 2 touchdowns. And for Detroit was Amir Abdullah, 10 rushes, 84 yards, and 8-point average himself. Great game for Jalen Peters.
And then going into receiving, Randall Cobb led the Packers 2 receptions, 74 yards, and a touchdown. And then Eric Ebron leading the Lions with 3 receptions for 73 yards.
In defensive stats, we got 2 sacks by Nick Perry for Green Bay. We actually got all of them. And then 1 by Mike Daniels and Kenny Clark. All getting sacks.
Each team having 1 interception. From the Lions it was Gerard Davis, and from the Packers it was Kevin King.
And forced fumbles, there are 2 by HaHa Clinton Diggs. And 1 recovered by Zach Quinta, rookie out of Texas.
Oh, hold on. There was a safety in this one. Mike Daniels getting that. It looks like it was probably off one of those sacks.
Kick return, punt return. Neither, but congratulations to Green Bay. Still in it to make a playoff.
Yeah. So good job to good job to those people in week 15 who got the win and fighting for all the playoffs. So good job in that.
But week 16, second to last game we got, and it was down to 5 people. 5 games because it's really close divisions, but we have decided to go with the Jets and Packers. If the Packers lose, and here's why: Packers are tied with the Panthers, and both the Panthers and the Packers are 1 game behind the Giants. So that's for
a wild card spot.
For the last wild card spot, that is what they're fighting for. The Jets are tied with the Bills for the division. And so both are on a big game right here now with the
Yeah.
Packers and Jets. Everybody else was on big games too, but this is a very big game for the last spot in the wild card and to win the division. But we go into this. Finesse God has been outstanding since he joined. Losing record when he was joined, and has brought them to a winning record and so close to a playoff spot. Mama Bear, who had a good season last year, where it started off strong but kind of didn't make it in the end, but has come back alive this season and pretty much stayed in the race for the AFC, especially with the AFC being such a hard division. Where do we go? Mama Bear and the Packers, one of the best run games we've seen. But Mama Bear being a runner and a thrower and having that dual offense.
Yeah.
What are we looking at?
Well,
here?
actually, I think Packers has a bit of a dual offense too. You can see he can pass the ball. He does throw interceptions sometimes, but then he'll have really good games passing the ball. So this one is probably going to come down to defense. Whoever can.
It always does.
Yeah.
It always comes down to defense for us, because defense wins championships, guys. You can have a great offense, but if the person has a better defense, they win the game.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times.
Yeah. So in this one, like we said, defense is going to be the main thing. Each team has their threats. Jalen Peters is one of the big ones for the Packers.
Oh. And for the Jets, Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, she's also got LeGarrette Blount too, who is old, but is still a factor, really a big factor
we
for
We just looked at his last game, being I think the first game for the Jets, and look how he played. Just a 100-yard game, being 31 years old. It does. It comes down to defense, but it also comes down, do they play smart on offense?
Yeah, you got to limit the turn. Wow, you got to limit turnovers in every game, but in important games like this, one turnover might decide the game. So, like, both teams got to really be careful. But so we've talked about this, and who do you think is going to win this game?
If I'm being completely honest, I want to root for the Mama Bear on this, because she's just pulled it out and been kind of the best all around, and she has never given up. But Green Bay has come in from a losing record to a winning record. Jalen Peters leads this offense, and he sticks with it, and I just think that the Packers are going to come out, even if it's a very close score. I think the Packers coming out with Jalen Peters and that defense.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the Packers are going to pull out on top in this one, and both teams are really fighting. We've already gone over that, but he is on the like one game outside of that wild card spot, so he needs to win to get in. And Mama Bear doesn't necessarily need to win to get in. She's tied for the division lead, so this is a crucial game for both of them, obviously, but I think the Packers is going to want it a little bit more, and I think he's going to play well enough to win the game and win the game.
Yes, guys, you heard it. Jets versus Packers. I know it's kind of weird, not a division game, but it's a very big game. We just gave our reasons why. Hope they both do well. I hope it becomes a great game. I would love to watch it.
Alright, so as we always do to end this, we go into the weekly awards and see the top 4 players, how they performed in week 15.
And of course it sucks when a forced win gets people the players of the week.
Yeah, that does suck, but I mean it happens, I guess. But Tevin Coleman having a good game for the Falcons, 16 carries for 152 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then he also had 27 reception yards. And then Vic Beasley with
receiving touchdown.
Yeah, and a receiving touchdown. Vic Beasley, 5 tackles, 2 sacks, an interception, and a touchdown.
Trevor Siemian, 30 for 34, almost a perfect game, 357 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns, sacked only once, and had a carry for 5. Von Miller with 5 tackles, 3 sacks.
Yeah, I mean, stat-wise, they deserve it, but it just sucks seeing it come out of a forced win.
But, of course, congratulations to everybody who won. Good luck to everybody for the rest of the season if you're making playoffs, and good luck in the off-season, picking up free agents and getting a really great draft. And good luck for next season.
Alright, guys, thanks for joining us this week. We will, I mean, since we're coming down to these last 2 weeks, we'll probably just focus on the playoff deciding games. But obviously we still want as many games to be played as we can, so we'll see how that goes this week. But thank you guys all for joining us.
As always, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, because y'all have been doing wonderful. Y'all have loved this series. And hit that like button to show your support.
Alright, guys, thanks for joining. We will catch you next week on another ComboLG Podcast.